Yeah, just give me all of the respect. I use your reverence as a reward. They know that I got the power and they looking at me like the source. Take my throne, boy, stop that. I'm on my hill, can't top that. You take this L, yeah, rock that. You know, I never needed a cosign. Yeah, I'm gon' shine. I rock independent.
What's up, Knicks Nation? KOD Universe, stand up, and all you Degens, wake up and get your coffee. Welcome to this Friday, December 23rd episode of the Knicks Morning Brew. I am your guy, Hector, and I'm chilling with my man, Fabulous Phil. As always, Mr. Phil, what it do, baby?
Chilling, bro. Can't complain, man. Life is good.
Yes, sir.
Even though we took a L the other day, I think we got so much that we can learn from that last game. I'm looking forward to hanging with our boy Sonny today and just kind of like chopping it up. And honestly, so pumped the fact that in the last 2 years, I have not been able to spend Christmas with my family. So 2 years ago, I had COVID, so I was downstairs stuck in my studio. And then last year, on this day right here, my tumor surgery got infected and I got rushed to the ER. And so I spent all of Christmas through January 12th in the hospital. So this is the first year that our family of four is able to kind of just chill, connect, and hang. And so I'm looking forward to the sugar. I'm looking forward to the Knicks. I'm looking forward to just chopping it up and hanging out with family. So it's going to be good, man. How about you?
Yeah, I'm good, brother. I tried to get an ugly sweater. I couldn't find an ugly sweater when I was in Dykeman yesterday, so I had to go with this. You know what I mean? I had to go with this light, a little flannel. But bro, knock on wood, glad that you're fine, glad that your health is good. People out there that are watching, happy holidays, like we said on the last episode. Whether you celebrate Hanukkah, whether you celebrate Kwanzaa, whether you celebrate this pagan holiday that was taken over by the Catholic Church that is called Christmas, everyone that's out there, happy holidays. And without further ado, let's bring on the guy that we reached out to jump on for the convo, Mr. Sonny. What it do? Good morning.
What's up? Good morning. First thing I have to say is whoever made that intro deserves a raise. That was awesome. I loved it.
Nice. That was our guy Info Arcade. Shout out to Info for that dope intro like always. But Sonny, bro, thanks for coming on to the Morning Brew, my guy. Not sure if you a coffee person in the morning, but if you are, what kind of coffee do you drink, or is it just a Red Bull?
So I'm not a coffee person, but I dabble occasionally. If I'm on the way to somewhere, stop at a Dunkin' Donuts, I'll be with a nice little caramel iced latte with 3 packets of sugar.
Nice. That's the same way I go, bro. I'm an iced coffee kind of guy myself. Mr. Phil, he's bougie. Mr. Phil loves his 3 macchiatos, his 5 espressos. He's a bougie bastard.
I'm a bougie man. I'm an iced latte with oat milk kind of guy. But that's the thing is, it depends what you say bougie. I can't do the Starbucks with the syrups and the frappies and all that stuff. That to me is just like drinking candy. I don't even taste the coffee. So I want to taste the beans. I want to taste where it's from. I want to taste the richness. So yeah, I'll spend a $8, $9, $10 cup of coffee, but that's just my thing.
For me, it's when you bring up oat milk, right? It's to me, it throws me in a paradox because it's the same question. Is water wet? Right? Is oat milk actually milk? Isn't actually milk? You understand what I'm saying? I understand it has nutrients and stuff like that, but Phil, I'll leave that to you. But Sonny,
I'm mildly lactose intolerant, bro.
What do you want?
Listen,
what do you
we
want?
gotta watch out for the tum-tum. We gotta watch out for the tum-tum. But Sonny, bro, let's get your take. Since this is the first time on the show, let's get your take when it comes to this Knicks team. It was an up and down start to the season, but we sitting nice, being a few games over 500. What's your take so far when it comes to this team?
I mean, in general, I thought this team. So first of all, when we started the season, I had very high expectations. I thought Randall was going to be better than he was last year. I thought RJ was going to be better. I thought guys were going to take leaps. I was really excited to see Grimes in a larger role, guys like Quickly, all that type of stuff that everyone's been talking about. And you started off the season, and that's not really what we saw. And it became clear to me after the first 2, 3, like I'd say 5 games, that this is going to be a borderline 500 team. And it seemed like that was going to be the case for a long time, honestly, until that crazy 8-game win streak, where now we've jumped up the Eastern Conference standings. But when in terms of the Knicks team overall, I mean, I think this is a solid team. This is one of those teams that's going to beat the bad teams. It's going to put up a fight against the mediocre middle teams, and they're probably going to lose against the best teams in the league. And I don't think that's a bad thing for where we are right now. But I will say it's very disappointing when you have a team that shows that they can compete with the good teams, but then at the end of the day, sometimes they end up losing in some made-up way. I'm sure we'll get into the Raptors-Knicks game, but like that was an example of a game where it seemed like they were competing down the stretch, but all of a sudden 2 bad plays, and now it's a 4-point game with 10 seconds left, and it's game over.
Yeah. Go ahead, Phil.
Yeah, like just like he was saying, like our expectations have kind of been on this roller coaster ride of like, where are we going to be? Okay, this is good. This is not so good. Like, and so it's kind of been one of those theme park kind of rides, being a Knick fan this season. But what I did see is like, I'm on Twitter and I'm on Instagram and I'm listening to these announcers, and everyone wants to point out the negative of this Raptors game. But I'm, on the other hand, looking at so many positives of what I saw in that Raptor game. Like, there's so many things that we can take away. And it's crazy to actually say these words because I feel like I'm my own worst enemy when I say these kind of things. But these are obvious points that we could take away that I think our coach or whoever's above him, whoever's made the changes that have been made so far, I think these are tangible changes that we will see over these next few games, which is crazy because it was always obvious to us as Knicks fans, but it seemed to be a blind spot for the coach and all of our actual staff. But somewhere before that, like right after that Dallas game, it's like we started being on the same page in a lot of places with our like staff and our fans. And so I'm hoping that they saw the kind of things that I saw, that I'm sure you guys saw, and that moving forward, we're going to see us compete against these teams that we thought we were going to get smoked by.
Yeah, 100% agree with both of you guys and both your takes. Coming into the season, Sonny, I had the same thing, right? Low expectations, but at the same time, high expectations, but at the same time, just wanting the team to be better than what we were last year, right? Like you said, we were expecting a few players to make that jump this season, whether it be Julius Randle, whether it be RJ Barrett. But one thing I could say, and Phil, it's good to look at, the good points of the loss. It's easy to look at the good stuff when you're coming off of an 8-game winning streak. If it was a 9-game losing streak, I'm not looking for nothing good. It's blood on the wall for me. But when you look at this last game against the Raptors, a big thing that stuck out was Mitchell Robinson leaving the game and not playing for the last 7 minutes, right? Then you start scratching your head because I probably was on the rebounding point of the game towards the end. And it's the same thing with Tibbs. It's either Isaiah Hartenstein or bust. Let Jericho Sim get some minutes, right? Let him just take half of the minutes off of it. But when it comes from a collective of the team, the game against the Raptors, you truly felt the absence of Quentin Grimes. You truly felt that. Even though you didn't have anybody for Pascal Siakam, I understand that. But Quentin Grimes' presence, not being in that starting lineup, it was felt. And you felt that in the first quarter. Sonny, what's your thoughts on that?
Well, no, I mean, for me, the difference in the game was the turnovers. Because you look at the game and you see, like, not that box score watching is the way to go. You have to do both, use the eye test, and which I watched the whole game. But they made the same amount of shots, shot 10% better from the field. The Raptors shot 26% from 3. The Knicks were at 42. The only difference in this game was the turnovers. The Knicks had 17 turnovers to the Raptors 5. So if a team shoots 26% from 3 and you hit 11 threes, like, you should win that game almost every time in today's NBA. But you turn the ball over so many times, and that was the difference in the game. And I think it's kind of a summary point of the Knicks season, in that you can do a lot of things right, but they still will find a way to do that one thing wrong and lose the game. And I think it starts with Jalen Brunson as the point guard of the team, of course. You got to find a way to get guys the ball in spots where they're not going to turn it over. But I will say I did love to see Julius and RJ both with 30 points, because I'll speak for myself, but I feel like it's been a long time since we've seen those two guys not only play well, but do it on the same night. A lot of times one of them will defer to the other, which I don't always think is a bad thing, especially once you bring in the third star of Brunson. But I think there's a lot of times where you have to find a way to have them both be effective offensively. And I think the Raptors game was a great example of that. But in terms of what you mentioned, I do think they miss Grimes. I think Deuce McBride does his best to try to replace what he brings. But Grimes' build, I mean, that's why I've loved him for so long. At 6'4", 210, he has the perfect frame in today's NBA to be that two guard, because he's not too big. He can still move quick, but at the same time, he has the wingspan to defend those guards and even some wings out on the perimeter. So I do think we miss Kern Grimes. I think the Raptors game, like you said, was a great example of a hard-fought game that we just ended up not winning. But I like what I saw. I really did.
Yeah, go ahead, Phil.
Yeah, so my takeaways from the game is first, whoever's still a Grimes doubter or a Grimes hater, like, just stop. Like, it's time to zip up your mouth, get off Twitter, let your
no Quentin Ntilikina.
No Quentin Ntilikina. Like, put your Twitter fingers to rest. Like, suspend your own account for the sake of the Knicks fan base. Like, this kid has shown that he is an intricate and honestly crucial part of our roster. Like, he is a way that we are able to shut things down. He is one of the few players that we have that can actually bring something to the offense without it having to be ISO driven. Like, everybody else in our starting five that scores is very ISO driven. And Quentin Grimes is one of the only guys that will run off of the ball, which is the things that we loved about the Allen Houstons and the John Starks of our era, was that they were off the ball kind of players, which you see thriving in a lot of other teams. And so that plus his defense were definitely missed. Like, Grimes is a very important part of our roster. And being that we had to have other pieces like step in, like, the problem was not that they didn't play good, because McBride did, what he could, but you have guys like Rose that aren't really getting sufficient minutes at all, like now coming into the roster after being on the bench for so long, and we're expecting him to make impact plays instead of like just dead minutes that he typically plays now. And so that was just not good. Hartenstein, we saw him make passes and stuff the other day, and that's great and all, but what we needed was a body that could stop what they were doing on the rebounding end in the last quarter. And instead, we had him there getting bullied, getting beaten. There was a play where they had like 3 attempts while trying to get back ahead of us. We were ahead. Then we give them 3 opportunities to score.
In a row,
you're not going to have a
changing point of the game.
Yeah, you're not going to have a Siakam and Van Fleet and OG like missed 3 times in a row. Like, 2 times was enough, but then we let them get that third opportunity. It was insane. Hartenstein only played, I think, like 10 and a half minutes, and he had more than half the rebounds than Hartenstein had that whole game. So Hartenstein was not the great substitution there. I'm gonna wear my ugly sweater like I promised, but I had to throw on the Duke, because the Duke of York. Shout out to Frizzy Designs. I had to represent RJ because RJ showed why he's RJ. Forget the start of the season where he had his up and downs. He's been consistent. He's been great. I'm going to put this up real quick, this little file, because straight up, it was said earlier by the homie Jay Nicky. I'll say it again. Point Barrett is the best version of RJ. When we let RJ Barrett have those kind of opportunities where he can create plays, he showed that he can do that very, very well. And we don't typically allow him those opportunities. So huge game for him. I think. And so here's the thing. Even before this game, he was doing good. And people were talking about, I would trade RJ for OG. And you look at the stats, blows my mind that you would do that. RJ.
It's because that it's a division between RJ fans and Julius Randle fans. That's literally what it was. But to go back to the points that both of you guys made, Sonny brought up the turnovers factor, and that's a big factor, and that sticks out like a sore thumb, right? Because when you look at our team, right, the Knicks, the reason why they're able to push the ball so well and be a high end offense is because they have good ball handlers in that starting rotation. When you look at the Mavericks have a hard time pushing the ball because besides Luka, they only have specialists on the court. That's all they have is just specialists, whether it's a 3-point specialist or whether it's a rebounder specialist. That's all they have. But when it comes to the Knicks and our ball handlers, IQ to me felt like he was out of place because he's the number one ball handler when he is with the second unit. Having to divert to Jalen Brunson, I'm not sure if he was too comfortable with that. It showed very early in the game. As the game went on, he got a little bit comfortable. But missing Quentin Grimes, who is also a phenomenal ball handler and who pushes the ball and understands his role. And that's the thing with our Knicks team. We need more guys like Quentin Grimes that understand their role and understand that, listen, I'm supposed to do X, Y, and the third. I'll leave the big stuff, the flashy stuff to the other guys. And like Sonny brought up, seeing Julius Randle and RJ Barrett both go off for 30 points, not kind of like fighting with each other of who's going to be the big star of the game. To me, that was the best that I've seen Julius Randle and RJ Barrett perform at the same time on court. Go ahead, Sonny.
Yeah, I also just think your point about Quentin Grimes and what he brings to the roster and how the roster is constructed, it kind of makes me mad that we ever, and this isn't, I'm not the first one to say this, but why did we even go sign Fournier 2 years ago? Why were those moves made if we were drafting guys to fill those exact roles? Why was Obi Toppin drafted if Julius Randle's on the roster? These are the types of questions that at the time I got excited for the draft picks. I'm not going to sit here and tell you I didn't. I liked Obi Toppin. And I'm not even going to lie to you also. I liked the Fournier signing at the time. I was like, all right, like Fournier, great shooter career. Like one of those guys that didn't just have one good season, but shown over his career he can knock down the three, which he did in the first year with us, shot 40%. But it's like, it just shows another example of there's a concrete disconnect between the coach, the front office, and the ownership. And I don't think anyone can argue that there's not, because when you make these moves, and it's literally stunting the growth of your young players. Finally, Tibbs benched Fournier, so it's not getting in the way of Grimes playing time or quickly playing time. But before that was the case, same with D Rose, who I love, these guys have to improve. And if you have guys on the roster that are veterans that want to get played, because if they're not going to get played, they want to go somewhere else because they want to sign another contract or maybe even 2 more contracts, depending on how long it is, it's not good. And it leaves you in a scenario where you feel like you're in this middle of the road. Because as you both know, and as I assume you've been watching the NBA for a long time, you can't have empty roster spots. Like you can maybe get away with 1 or 2 if you're a really good team. But every single person on the roster has to be able to contribute something. Even if it's someone like Theo Pinson who's there just for cheerleading. Like, I'm serious. But it has to be something. It can't just be like, there has to either be encore production, chemistry in the locker room, or something else that I don't know. Like, they have to find a way to get this roster more well-rounded to the point where you can go down each guy and be like, all right, on any given night, this guy will come in, give us something. And this guy will do something else. They have to be able to give us something. And if that's not the case, then we got to find a way to get these guys off our roster that aren't playing and bring in guys that can contribute. And I think once that starts to happen, once we see, like I said, guys like Fournier leave, once we see guys like, I like him personally, I know he's there just because he's Brunson's friend, but Ryan Arcidiacono is giving nothing to this team. And I really do like him, but Svi Mikhailuk, nothing to this team. Like, they have to find a way to get these guys at the end of the bench either more involved or what Tibbs did, to be fair to him last game, go to a shorter rotation, 8, 9 guys, which I think is stupid in the regular season personally. When the playoffs come, if you want to solidify the rotation, great. I think most great coaches do that. But you need to have at least 10, 11 guys, I think, in the regular season, or else guys are going to get tired. And I think we saw it at the end of the Raptors game too. If they had played Cam Reddish 10 minutes and let some guys have fresher legs, or where's Trevor Keels at? Like, what are these dudes? Farron Hunt? Like, what are these guys doing? I know he's not fully on the roster anymore, but these guys that I thought could contribute, young guys that could grow into a role. Once again, I don't work for the team. They have scouting guys that get paid way more than I do to do anything. They should be the guys making the right decisions, but it seems like there's some disconnect. But I will be clear. We're all saying this. I'm saying how there's a disconnect, all this stuff going on. We're the 6th seed right now. And not only are we the 6th seed, we're like 3 games out of the 2nd seed and 4.5 games back from 1st. And I said it 10 games ago. and they proved me right. And it's true about not only the Eastern Conference, but the entire NBA right now. If a team wins 7 out of 10 games or 8 out of 10, like we did 8 in a row, you're instantly in a way better seed than you were because of how close the race is. It's not like a situation where you're fighting to claw up, like you got to win 5 games to pass one team. If you go on a good 20-game stretch, you could be first in the conference.
Yeah. No, absolutely. And before you go, Phil, Sonny, you didn't hear about Evan Fournier's crepes that he makes in the locker room after every win. I think that's what he brings to the table.
You think he puts strawberries in there?
I heard it's authentic chocolate. That's what I think it is. It's chocolate from South America.
Got you.
But Phil, before you go, I just want to shout out the chat real quick. Shout out to Stephen Fox is in the building. Uncle Foxy, salute. How you doing? And of course, Jiggaman Porto, who's the third host over here, but he's a little bit busy. G Money is in the building. Mr. G Money, what it do? NY Originals is in the building. What's good?
How we doing?
And I got my man Pots and Pans, Mr. Pudge, nice Pudgy, what it do, baby? But when it comes to this roster, I agree with you 100%. Even with the guys at the end of the roster, you got to be able to bring something to the table, because if somebody goes out, you have to be able next man up. That's the mantra we're supposed to be having. It's supposed to be the next man up or bust. Go ahead, Phil.
Yeah, so it's hard, man. It's hard to play coach, play manager from a couch or from a desk where we're at, because we can easily say, we got to play more guys, but our 8-game win streak didn't come until we went down to a 9-man rotation. We were getting our butts whooped when we were doing the 10, 11, players coming in and out and trying to just play a certain role. So it's kind of hard to actually say, yes, he's got to play more. I think being open to it is the big key, and having that bench that you're willing to play when push comes to shove. Because yesterday's game, was it yesterday? When was it? What was it?
No, it was
Wednesday.
Yeah.
Wednesday's game proved that a 9-man rotation is great when you have your 9 men. When you actually can pull that off. And if someone was to get injured like Mitch or was out like Grimes, to be able to pull from the bench would have really, really helped us, But we are so set in the fact that Cam is getting traded. I feel like since that's already a one and done in most of our minds, then get him out of here. Get someone that we can actually play if we need something like that, so that we don't lose in the final minutes because our guys are exhausted from a back-to-back. Him and Fournier being on the bench really does us no good right now, because we can't pull them when we need them, because we don't want to screw up a trade that might be happening. The sooner we can move that, the better. As much as I love Cam, let's get it out of our mind. Cam is never going to touch the court as a Knicks fan unless they're doing something astronomically strategic that even blows Cam's mind right now. And they have some secret plan for him. He's gone.
And that's what's upsetting, because yes, the team is playing beautifully now. I'll take this over anything, but at the same time, Cam Reddish just being tossed to the end of the bench. These trade rumors, I'm not sure what we're going to do when it comes to trades. Sonny, I was talking on the last show, and Phil was calling me a hater for this, but I was talking about the roster. And when you look at the roster, to me, the odd man out when it comes to the rotation, it's Obi Toppin, especially now with that injury. Hopefully when he comes back, it doesn't affect him that much when it comes to his movement, his lateral movement, but it's a leg injury, and you always have to be concerned when it comes to leg injuries, especially from guys who are known as high flyers. What's your take on the Obi Toppin injury, and where do you think this team is going to go when it comes to trades and upgrading this roster?
Well, in regards to Obi Toppin, all I can do is keep thinking back to the last, 9 games of last season, where everyone else was benched. It was him in the quick show. It was just them two going crazy. I think Obi had 2 or 3 30-point games. And I know teams were mailing it in. It's the end of the season. It happens. But I can't help thinking back to those games and think about what Obi Toppin could be if he was given the true opportunity to progress in a role as an on-ball player and as a shooter, because he can knock down the three. And I was surprised to see that from him. So I am an Obi Toppin guy. I think he's very good. I think he has a chance to be very good in this league. I don't see it with the Knicks, or at least with Julius Randle on this roster. And I think the injuries are never good, but for him specifically, the injury could not have come at a worse time because everything he had built up, which wasn't a lot, he only played 17 minutes this year. Tibbs hasn't really been going to him, but everything that he had built up in those 17 minutes pretty much is out the window now because they're going to bring him in and they're going to try to ramp him up. And if he doesn't play well when he gets ramped up, he's not going to play. And as unfortunate as that sounds, I think you agree that if he comes in those first 2-3 games in a few weeks from now, when he comes, like, what do they say, 2-3 weeks when he comes back from the injury, like, he's not going to play because he's already only playing 18 minutes when he was fully healthy. So coming back from injury, he's going to have to impose himself right away. And I don't necessarily think that's fair to him, but it is a Knicks team that is not at the bottom of the pack like we're talking about. We're discussing this team like it's a rebuilding or like we're at the bottom of the pack, but we're in the playoffs right now. So shout out to the Warriors. They're trying to do the same thing where they're trying to contend while also developing their young talent. And I don't know if this Knicks team's trying to contend truly, but they're definitely trying to make a fight for the playoffs. Now, in regards to trades, I will tell you two guys I don't want, and then we can have a bigger conversation about the trades themselves. I absolutely do not want the Knicks to go after Zach LaVine or Christian Wood. Those two guys I am heavily against for a multitude of reasons. Zach LaVine, first of all, he is I'm sorry. I love Zach LaVine. I loved him in Minnesota. I cannot think of a single player in the NBA today that would be a better example of getting a star on the decline. He's having his worst season in a few. He's an athletic specimen who's going to decline in athletic ability over the next 3 years. Nothing about him tells me that he's going to be able to sustain his play or be better than he was 2 years ago. And he'd pretty much be taking a guard spot away from Quickly, Grimes, Brunson, or RJ. If you look at RJ as the two guard sometimes, not really, more of a three, obviously. But I don't understand bringing Zach LaVine in. He'd probably be the best player on the roster, arguably, if you played at his height. But I just think you only bring a guy like that in if you think he's going to be on the team for 2-3 more years and help you contend. And I don't think that's the case. And Christian Wood is an absolute not a fit for this Knicks team. He doesn't play defense. He can score when he's given the ball. Once again, though, he would take Julius's spot or Mitch's spot, and I don't want him on the floor.
Yeah, I 100% agree. And like you said, key word, if he gets the ball, because when Christian Woods doesn't get the ball, he gets a little bit upset and becomes super pouty like a 3-year-old. Go ahead, Phil.
Yeah, first to Sonny's points about Obi and seeing what Pudge Nice was talking about, like, I think this would be actually a better way to utilize him since he is a smaller frame. Like, to have Obi come in as like RJ's substitution instead of Randall's, especially because we're not using Grimes at all. So when Obi comes back, like, if we don't want to sub him in there, like, having him come in as the small forward and see how he can do, then he doesn't have to be as physical as we would want him to be as a power forward. I think either way we're going to find out, because if they're going to trade him, like we said last time, they're going to have to give him sufficient minutes to show any team that he came back healthy from the injury. And if they're going to keep him, he needs to be playing anyway. So either way, he's going to get those minutes, and it's going to be able to say a lot about the future of Obi. Me personally, I hope that shows that he deserves to be there. But imagine him alongside an actual sustainable power forward, like that he doesn't have to be bullying the big guys on the inside, but he can be more of a moving player since that's what he is. Then it wouldn't make such little sense for him to be going out to the 3-point line, which makes no sense if he's our power forward because he's not going to rebound. When it comes to those trades, I agree completely. I have been a Zach LaVine fan since he entered the league. However, I do not want to see him in a blue and orange uniform. 2 years ago, if you would have said, hey, we're going after Zach LaVine, I'd be like, hell yeah, let's put everything in the bag. Let's make it happen. Now, no, like, not at all. Like, he is not pushing the Chicago Bulls to win alongside of Vooch and DeMar. What is going to make him be able to do that against players that have less, like, playoff experience and haven't played together as long as he's played with those two. Like, it's just not worth it. Christian Wood, not even in the category. Like, I do not want anything to do with Christian Wood. Good player off the bench, not a good player off our bench. We already have too many players that struggle with like their identity when they don't have the ball in their hands. Like, we don't need to add another one into that, another pouty situation. Like, imagine him and Randall on the same team pouting about not getting the ball. Like, come on. Like, we can't do that. You know, like, that's just a crazy scenario.
Go ahead, Sonny. You wanted to interject?
Yeah, I would look to bring in a guy, maybe not this guy exactly, but someone like Jordan Clarkson, who is a younger type player, who still has upside to him, who can get a bucket low-key up there with anyone in the league, maybe not like the top 5 stars, but anyone else. And he could come, and he's fine coming off the bench. He's not going to be like, he's a good locker room guy. It seems like all the guys love him. He's young, like, speaks for himself. He's back to time in LA. But like, that's a piece that I'd like to bring in, because to me, and I don't want to be like this pessimistic Knicks fan, but I try to call it what it is. And I wish I could speak to Leon Rose and about this, but like, do they really think they can win a title this year? If the answer is yes, then to them, this is what I'm saying, but to them, then go trade for Zach LaVine. Go trade for one of these guys like that's a star. If they think this team can win a title with that addition. I don't, so I'm saying they shouldn't do that. And my point is, if you don't think you're going to compete for a title this year, don't bring anyone in, unless it's going to be like a smaller type guy like Clarkson. Let's play out the season, see what we have. If we can sustain this success for another 50 games and we end up a 6 seed or even 4 or 5 seed again, great. That shows me that this team has guys that can beat teams in the league. And this core, like, if we stay with the same core for 50 games from now, we will have a much better idea than we did at the beginning of the season. The pairings of Grimes and RJ, if Quickly can really step up and continue this play that we've seen in the past 3 or 4 games from him. Otherwise, you bring in other guys to the mix, and then we're going to be in a situation where then we want to use next season as the play-out season to see what we got. I truly think, unless they think you can compete, or unless they think a trade can make you better by like a significant margin and take over some of the teams in the East, like the Sixers, the Bucks, which I don't think there's any argument that that's the case. Unless you had some crazy guy request a trade, like imagine Trae Young wanted to come here, maybe something like that. But other than that happening, I just don't see it. And I think that you'd have to bring in, I wouldn't bring in anyone. I'd let the season play out, see where we end up. And at the end of the season, then you can make moves in the offseason.
Yeah, same way. And this is our guy, Jiggaman.
What up, fellas?
Good, brother.
Man, I had to make sure. I'm busy as heck this morning. I wasn't going to make the show. I was like, we got Sonny on. I got to stop by. First of all, Sonny, after the loss you and I took last night as Jets fans, I'm glad you made it this morning, bro, because I was calling in this morning, all right? I called out sick. I was like, all right, no more. I can't talk about it.
That was horrible.
Oh, man, brutal. Appreciate you making time to hang out with us this morning. What up to everybody in the chat? But, man, Sonny, loved your take, bro. I mean, we're finally at a point where we get to see the young guys play. We're finally getting a chance to see what we have in this core. There's no piece out there right now worth us giving up a whole bunch of our guys, a whole bunch of our picks, because there's nobody out there right now in my mind that gives us the chance to really take it all the way. The whole point of what this season needs to be is seeing what we have. We've been begging for it. Tibbs was forced to be put in this position that it looks like he's a good coach again. And the truth is, our guys are making him look good. I don't care. I don't care how we get there. Now, granted, the game the other night hurt. All right. And I think what people don't realize, it hurts us content creators more than anything. Let me tell you, I had amazing iHeart fan club graphics made for that next morning. I had a full Count Dracula costume being made to be able to come on here and be like 9 wins in a row, and that couldn't happen. All right, so it hurt me more than anybody. I promise you guys. And yeah, Foxy, yes, I know Foxy. Ladies and gentlemen, goodbye to Zach Wilson.
Well, maybe you guys, like I said the other show, don't hate me for saying this, Jiggaman, but maybe you guys can have Isaiah Hartenstein try out for the quarterback the way he loves to throw the ball down the court.
I thought so too, but But then in that Raptors game, he tried that throw again. It didn't work this time. Y'all saw that.
A 6'10" quarterback from the pocket. You never know, could work. But but
snap,
you know,
Phil, you wore the ugly sweater. I forgot. All right, my bad. All right, go ahead, Hector. My bad.
Anyway, like I was saying, Sonny, I apologize. This is the chaos that goes on here at the morning brew. But but when it comes to the trades that Sonny laid out, I 100% agree. When it comes to Zach LaVine and when it comes to Christian Woods, those are two players that I do not want on this team. Not because they don't have the talent to play this game that's called basketball. It's because one, Christian Woods, it's a head case, right? It seems like he's a bad chemistry, bad locker room guy. So take him, throw him out the woods. When it comes to Zach LaVine, it's the fragile nature of his knees and of his body. Zach LaVine right now, and I hate to say it, at this stage of his NBA career, the man walks around looking like the operation board, right? Because that's how many injuries he done had since he came into the league. I love Zach LaVine, even when he took over that dunk contest and he put himself on the map and people realized who he was. And then he went to Chicago, and then he solidified himself as a 3-point shooter in this league. But then the injuries kicked in, and that's my concerns with Zach LaVine. It's a huge contract, it's a huge risk, and we're going to be giving up too much assets in order to get him. I'm not trying to give up draft picks, young players, and absorb all that cap space if it's not going to be for somebody that's going to push us over the hump, like Jay Boogie put in the chat. Oh, I want to shout out Jason from 161 River Ave. What it do, my guy? But any moves that could improve this team, just make sure they're smart. I love Kyle Kuzma. I'm not sure if Kyle Kuzma is the way because he's in a starting role right now with the Washington Wizards, averaging over 20 points a game. I'm not sure if Kuzma is going to want to come and take a bench role on this Knicks team. That's just me. It's the same reason that Sonny Carson said it when it comes to Zach LaVine. I'm not sure if Kyle Kuzma is going to want to take that bench role on this team. Go ahead, bro.
Do you guys think though it's apparent, right, in the league of how we're going with this 8-9 man rotation? Like you got to figure the conversations with any player right now is, yo, this is what we're doing. Like you see how we're rolling it. Are you comfy coming in as that 6, 7, 8, right? I think whoever we talk to needs to understand we're not being traditional this year. We're being, holy crap, we're throwing anything and hoping it sticks to the wall kind of situation. So again, to me, I don't care for us to go and beg and get Kuzma, but we need bodies. We can't just have people that are sitting on the bench inactive, not doing anything. We look gassed by the fourth quarter. So if you're going to bring somebody that's going to be a piece that's okay to come in and help this team, then great. If it's going to be Kuzma, fine. But if we're giving up stuff like IQ or Grimes or Obi to make a trade like that happen, miss me with that. I want nothing to do with that package.
So this is what I think personally, because I think Kuzma's on the end of his contract, right? Like I think this is his last year where he's at.
I'll look it up right now. I'll look it up right now, but I believe so.
Because if so, I don't say we target him right now. I say if we're going to make a trade by the deadline, that it be a player like Jordan Clarkson that would not screw up our starting rotation and what we have flowing there. But someone that's a guaranteed bucket off the bench. Like that guy is a guaranteed scorer, and he's going to cause problems for a second unit, especially if you pair him with a Miles McBride or a Quick, because I don't think that we get a player like that without giving up one of those two guys. But imagine him next to a Quick or a McBride with an Obi Toppin and a Jericho Sims. Now we don't just have a good second bench. Like we have an actual scoring second bench, scoring bench that we can guarantee and we can rely on, where RJ doesn't have to play 40 minutes because he's going to be our scorer, in that 9-man rotation on the second unit, but that we actually have a designated scorer on the second unit. So I think we do something like that. And if we do astronomically better with him on the bench, it'll make players like Kuzma say, holy crap, like they didn't even have a player like me on their team, and look how far they were able to go last year. I would consider going to a team like that. And then we target him in free agency. Then we target him in free agency and be like, we know that you want to be a part of what we're doing, instead of we need you to be a part of what we're doing. Like then it's we look more appealing, as opposed to come be what's appealing for us, you know?
Right.
So I think that's the way we go if he's on the end of his contract.
To correct you, he has an option for next season, but it's a player option. So most likely he's going to decline it to go into free agency to cash in on the great season that he's having. Go ahead, Sonny.
No, yeah, I think everything we're saying is under the same umbrella of the fact that the Knicks have to come up with a direction that they want to go. It seemed like 2-3 years ago the direction was more clear. Got a lot of draft picks, took the young guys. 4 years ago now, getting RJ and everything that's RJ, Quick, Grimes, all that stuff. Now that we're here in this kind of middle ground, we're all talking about what they should do because they have no clear direction. And until that is decided, and we know that starts with the front office, and that starts with the coaching staff and getting those guys on the same page, it'll be way easier to evaluate what moves you want to make. So obviously it's always going to be the topic of conversation. What guys can you bring in, especially when you're in New York? But I agree with what Phil said 100% in that you have to find a way to make a guy want to come be a part of something great instead of having to be what's great. I think he said that perfectly because that's what happens around the league. Unless you're a guy like Luka who's going to demand a trade and be the centerpiece somewhere else, you want a guy to come in somewhere and be like, all right, look, I'm boys with that guy. I know he can get a bucket. I know he'll share the ball. There'll be no chemistry issues. I like the coaching staff. That's the type of stuff that players look at, and it's in New York. And to be fair, this is the oldest thing in sports. Obviously, guys don't want – everyone makes it seem like guys want to come to New York, but they never do. So it's like, when are you going to make New York into a place that guys aren't just going to come be the savior? Like, how many times have we asked for the savior? Right. Zion, come save us. Whoever it is.
KD, come save us.
KD, Kyrie, come save us. Donovan, come save us. They don't want to save us. They want to do it with a team. Like, you guys get what I'm saying. They don't want to save us. They want to come somewhere where they're going to be able to have someone next to them.
They want to be in a place that it has a foundation already built. Not that they have to come along and help build that foundation. No. When Golden State added Kevin Durant to that team, the foundation was already put in place for that team to be a super team. You already have to put the foundation. The only place that it can happen where a savior comes in, you could look the past 20 years, you could look at Miami when LeBron and Chris Bosh went there, but even then they literally just made the playoffs and was eliminated in the first round. So you can't even say Miami, which is a situation that a savior came to save him. No, you have to have the groundwork and the foundation put in place in order to attract that superstar to come in afterwards. Go ahead, Celso.
Can you guys tell me what it would take for us to maybe have people show up at the Garden and have amazing games and it actually be like a Knicks player? Because everybody comes to the Garden and becomes a star. Like, we're asking for saviors. It's like, why can't we have the 52-point game night at the Garden? Why can't we just have one of our own guys be like, look at me at the Mecca? Everybody comes in and makes it look like we can't ball at our own house.
Everyone makes it come in and makes the Knicks are a Mickey Mouse team. When it's like, it's unbelievable because as soon as the jersey flips, there are guys that have killed at the Garden as road players, and as soon as we sign them, all of a sudden, nothing.
Exactly.
I forget. Someone was talking about it at the beginning of the season. It might have been LeBron. I'll have to go back and find it, and I'll tweet it to you guys after this. But someone said something about how, like, when you come into the Garden as a road player, the lights are bright, but it's you grew up wanting to play there. But when you come in there as a Knicks player, the same lights are there, obviously, but now it's you got to perform for the Knicks fans. And for whatever reason, something about that is due, which will never make sense to me. But the only team in the league, literally the only team in the league where, and I'm not saying this as I'm not looking at the stats right now, but my gut tells me that the Garden is the only stadium in the league, other than teams that just suck. But the Garden right now is the only playoff team in the league where every highest point scored, every most assist game, every most rebound game was probably by an opposing player.
An opposing player.
You
Welcome to the Garden.
Right. Well, when you got Jordan dropping 50, when you got Devin Booker dropping 50, so many. It's sad as a Knicks fan. Kobe dropping 50 points. I remember watching that game when I was in high school when Kobe dropped 50 points. But
everyone.
Yeah, hold on, wait. And yeah, I want shout out to the chat real quick. 19 comments said it's starting to sound a lot like tradesmess going on here.
To sound a lot like tradesmas. I'm telling you, that Christmas spirit. Sorry, I had to.
Yeah, you got the nice vocals. Just to let everybody know, guys, if you guys are around later on 4:00 in the afternoon on NYY News TV, myself and Jiggaman will be having our 3rd episode of the Get Yanked show. So make sure you guys tune in today. We're gonna have a lot of things to talk about. We're gonna talk about the Mets also because Steve Cohen. Thank you, Uncle Steve Cohen, because now you are forcing the Yankees and Hal Steinbrenner to spend some money. But on to these Knicks. When it comes to Kyle Kuzma, and I understand this perfectly when Phil said it. When it comes to Obi Toppin, I should say Obi Toppin is the perfect definition of a tweener. Right between a small forward and a power forward. If there was a situation or we can figure it out how to play Obi Toppin at the small forward, I think that we can solve our problem internally instead of going out and trying to trade for some bodies. If Obi Toppin could be the backup small forward, that makes it perfect for Isaiah Hartenstein to be the backup power forward, where I said it on the last show, he looks better defensively as a backup power forward than a backup center. So if you have Isaiah Hartenstein at the power forward who can stretch the floor, you can have Jericho Sims be that backup center. That's that muscle bruiser that we need. That's great defensively when it comes to rebounding and blocking the block down low. So I think that we can solve this issue internally instead of going out there and just blowing all of our draft picks on a player that's probably just going to be with us for one season.
Yeah. No, I agree. And I think that's the biggest thing about Obi in that he can't guard the 4. At least I haven't seen it yet, especially not the 5. So obviously you have to play both sides of the ball. And I think you're 100% right. I like Obi. I like what he brings, but he has not shown me that he can stay in front of these guys that are a little bigger than him. There are guys in the league that can, like the best to ever do it, in my opinion, Draymond, a guy at a small size who can somehow guard the Giants, but he's clearly not that, and that's fine. So we have to figure out, like you said, listen, the NBA, you're never going to draft a guy, have him come in, let me be clear. You're never going to draft a guy, make a game plan for him before the season, and it's just going to be the perfect game plan for him for the rest of his career.
Oh,
bring
look,
a guy.
perfection.
Yeah. Oh my God. He does exactly what we thought he was going to do. No, it might be close, but that's never going to happen. You have to bring a guy in and adjust to his talents, adjust to what he does well, and also adjust to his weaknesses. Specifically here, what we're talking about with Obi and his inability to guard the 4. You have to adjust so you put them in better spots to succeed. And right now, it seems like the Knicks are trying to draft guys and just throw them into the exact role that they defined the day they were drafted. No, that never works out. You have to find a way to get these guys into better positions to succeed. And that goes back to one of the first things we said on the podcast and about how point RJ is the best form of RJ. How many times did we see him last season? Literally, tell me if I'm wrong, stand in the corner like this. Just waiting for a pass. Like
you could play a drinking game doing that.
Literally, it was, what was the point of that? That's not the best way to get RJ involved. So I like what I've seen from everyone on the team, but I still don't like what I've seen from the coaching staff. I really don't.
Yeah. Agree, Sonny.
And to your point, to Sonny's point, 95% of players in that position will never be a Draymond Green. That dude is a rare breed. Like, you're looking at like the last time we saw a forward like that was Anthony Mason, who could dribble, facilitate, set picks, bully down low.
Rest in peace to the legend.
And he was a legend for the Knicks. There's very few players that will ever be like that. Finding a player and going, okay, where is his strengths and where's his weaknesses? Like, as someone who currently lives in Florida, I saw Aaron Gordon go from he's not doing good anymore in Orlando because they wanted him to be this one-trick pony to him going to Denver, and now he's looking like a stud in Denver. He's hitting threes, he's playing D, he's taking charges, he's getting blocks, he's running back and forth with the opposition. And in 3 years, we've seen Obi Toppin develop a three-pointer that took 7-8 seasons for Aaron Gordon to develop, yet we're still not giving Obi any credit or any possibility to grow. So he could be that kind of player if our team allowed him to flourish and grow. And whether that's on the first unit or second unit, I think if he went to a small forward role, that would be great. But transitioning, I want to start with you, Sonny. Let's talk about some high points and low points of what we saw and how we can learn from those from that last game, because I feel like there's a lot we can take away from that last game.
Well, the low points, as I mentioned in the beginning, is just the turnovers. You had 17 turnovers to their 5. You have to take better care of the ball. But also, I think the number one thing that I saw is, as much as we'd like to pretend that you can win in the NBA just going through, just winning every game by under 8 points, whatever, that's not the case. There are whether it's now, whether it's the finals, no matter when it is, they are going to have to win games down the stretch. And that's a 2-point game or a 3-point game with a minute left. And that's the one thing, going back to last year, I don't even want to say last year, going back to the pairing of RJ and Julius, other than the banked-in 3 against the Celtics and a few lucky, the preseason Julius Randle game winner, I've yet to really see a consistent, I've yet to see more than 1 or 2 games where the Knicks are either up or it's a 3-point game with 3 minutes left and they end up winning. That's the difference that's what we need to learn from. We need to, I don't know if they don't simulate those situations in practice enough, but the Julius last attempt shot where he broke down the hall clock and then threw up a prayer that airballed, or Brunson's guilty of this too, trying to ISO end of the game. And unfortunately for him, it's just his size makes it really difficult for him to get a shot off at the end of the game when they know he's trying to get one off against a bigger defender. But the point is, they have to show me that down the stretch of the game, they will be able to put together a stop, put together a good offensive possession to get a real shot. And like Phil mentioned, they have to show me that they'll be able to secure a rebound. You're up 1 point and you give up 3 offensive rebounds. They're not going to miss 4 shots in a row down the stretch of a game. That's what lost you the game. So I need to see improvement in that area specifically.
Look, I'm going to tell you guys right now, and you'll thank me later, okay? Later today, when you guys are free and have some time, go back and replay the last 3 minutes of that game. But hear me out. Keep it muted and put the circus track behind you. Because I mean, literally from the random shot to, just everything. I was sitting there, I was just like, what the hell is going on? And I'm telling you, it makes for a great moment. Pour yourself a drink and just, you'll feel so much better about yourself. All right.
Responsibly. If you're gonna play that music, be responsible. Don't leave the stove on running while you're playing and drinking. No, we don't condone none of that. But no.
But I wanted real quick, because I got to get out of here real quick. Go back to the Obi conversation that you guys touched on, Phil. I feel like from a fan base, we're at that point, right? He's been injured, so it's so quick. We've needed somebody to say we want to get rid of and throw away. Right. So that's been the one right now. Everybody's like, well, yeah, just trade Obi, let it go. He's not going to be able to live up to it. I'm telling you guys, I have a feeling Obi's going to come back and look decent. I'm an Obi fan, but the reason I think so is because everything that works in Tibbs' favor seems to be happening in the NBA for us this season. Right. So something's going to happen where Obi's going to come out. He's going to find his spot. He's going to play well. And then we're going to have more questions again on, okay, who do we grab? What do we do? I'm still a big fan of, let's stop thinking that we have a traditional team. We don't have your usual, here's your 5 guys, here's your point guard, here's your shoot. We don't. We've got a group of young guys that we're going to keep throwing in there at all different times and hope it works. Yeah. I think Obi is going to be a big piece for us.
Yeah. For me, it comes down to if Tom Thibodeau and keep evolving as a coach and understanding that this day in the NBA is different than what it was 20 years ago, or it's different than what it was in 2008, 2009 when he was on the coaching staff of the Boston Celtics. He has to realize that this NBA, it's more of a fast-paced offense instead of slowing it down and just dribbling. If Tom Thibodeau can keep adjusting to his young players on the team, I think this team has a bright future going forward. Ultimately, it's going to come down to the front office and to Tom Thibodeau. One thing I can say is that finally, It's been 3 seasons. This is season number 3 that we have this front office and Tom Thibodeau, as our coach. It's surprising to me that we haven't fired anybody within these 3 seasons. Normally for the Knicks, their MO is we rock out for 2 or 3 seasons. If nothing works out with that coach or the front office, you fire people to bring in the new regime to start all over. We're showing that this front office and this team has some consistency to it. Is it where a lot of us fans want it to be? No, but the bar is on the ground when it comes to being competitive when it comes to this team, and I think our future is just looking bright.
Yeah. And so before I, talk about the game, I know, Sonny, you've been with us, and I don't want to keep you longer than you have to be because I know you got things you got to get done today. So would you mind plugging where people can follow you? They can continue to watch what you're doing and, stay in touch.
Yeah, and you have your own Knicks post game that you do on the Knicks Spaces, right? So let everybody know where they can find you after Knicks games or whatever endeavors that you're working on in the future.
For sure. So I do a Knicks game. We haven't done it in a few games, actually. We got to get back on it. But a post game over there with the guys at U Stadium. So I'll do, and I'm also starting back up a podcast over there. So you can just find me on Twitter at Scarton Radio, just S Carton Radio. And I'll be posting all updates, anything there. And I have the YouTube channel, same name, that I'll try to be uploading more as we go. But just been trying to get some Knicks stuff out. And like I said, follow me on Twitter and you'll see updates on everything.
Yeah, and you have it in your bio on Twitter, a future sports something. When it comes to this industry, when the sports industry, where do you see yourself? Do you see yourself? Because I think on the radio that you got that radio voice, bro, and it was great breakdowns, actually painting the picture for the fans that are listening. But where do you see yourself in this industry going forward, brother?
No, I appreciate that, and like you mentioned, obviously with Pops and radio, it's doing where I've got the most practice, but I've always grown up, I never settled on radio. I always thought, not that it's not, obviously radio is awesome, but I thought there's some maybe bigger things out there, or maybe broader. I don't have to limit myself to just being a radio host. So I love that you mentioned that, by the way. I thank you. So I love that you caught that in the bio, because that's how I really feel. Future sports something, whether that is media or executive role, something. I love being on camera, but I haven't made my mind up. And I think TV, radio, something. And also, this is another topic, but you guys can call me crazy. I feel like there's something out there regarding media and sports in general that hasn't been discovered yet or hasn't been explored yet. So my goal the next 5 years in my career, my goal throughout college is to figure out what that is. So when I do, I'll let you guys know, obviously. But,
we'll clip this part right here, guys. Yes, when Sonny has that moment, we're all like, yo, that fool was for real. Bam! We got the clip.
Exactly. So
you're going to have his Dr. House moment.
Exactly. So not stuck on radio, but definitely something sports media. And I appreciate you guys for having me on to talk everything. It was a pleasure.
Sonny, man.
Whenever you want me back, let me know. I'll be back.
No, but listen, whenever you want to come back on, we normally tell this to our guests, but I'm going to tell you this because it was awesome having this convo. It's an open door policy, Sonny. So anytime you wake up in the morning, you get that coal out your eye, and you're like, you know what? Let me join the guys from the Morning Brew. You're more than welcome to any time.
Yeah, but here's the problem, Hector. He's gonna find out that I'm starting a Jets therapy show, and he's never gonna want to be on any show but the Jets therapy. All right,
but
in the chair like this, doctor.
But Sonny, honestly, I got to tell you, you actually helped Jiggaman out so much today because you're probably one of the only guests that we brought onto the show that's an actual Jet fan.
Shut up! Yeah, Sonny, how you doing? Right?
Okay, that's way worse than me. He's got it on his phone.
All right, that's it. Kick our guest out of here. Get him out.
Wait, Sonny, that's so sad. I feel now I'm being serious because I get upset when the Jets do something, but Zach Wilson throws a pick and he's like.
You know what, bro? It's even worse. We're at the point now where it just burns on its own. Every bad play, I'm like, oh.
Yeah, it's it's got a spell attached. That's hilarious, bro.
Yeah. But Sonny, brother, I appreciate you for coming on, bro. Much love to you. Can't wait to hear you on the fan again. And whatever you have in the future, if you need some place to come promote it, you're more than welcome to come here to promote it, bro.
I appreciate you guys. Stay good. If you ever need anything from me, let me know. Always answer DMs. Anything, hit me up. And I can't wait to see you guys again. This was awesome.
Yeah.
Appreciate you, bro.
Peace, Sonny. Peace, Sonny. That was our guest, Mr. Sonny Carton, who took time out this morning to come talk with us.
How
What's
about
up, bro?
Con? I want to start a Knicks Milk Carton pod and highlight the missing bunnies and players.
I think Foxy had it right here. Foxy, line of the year. That's so
That's
sad.
so sad. So glad I showed up. All right.
Yeah.
Oh my God. I got to tell you, I would enjoy making the graphics for the milk cartons with missing bunnies and stuff.
Oh, facts. Chris the Flash, what it do? Chris
What
the
up?
Flash said Merry Christmas to you all and your family as well. Yeah. Merry Christmas.
I love checking out Chris the Flash's videos when he puts them out, man. His intro,
Chris the Flash.
like he got Chris the Flash. He got that tone too. Chris, I'm telling you need to go copyright that. Copyright the slogan. I'm Chris the Flash. I'm telling
before
you.
I make a t-shirt with
Chris
that.
Oh man. So what we want to talk about? I know you guys got some time. I got a little bit of time. Let's talk.
Yeah, I just wanted to talk about that game a little bit, like, because I feel like there's a few things that should be pointed out about it, because people have been talking about our wins and how our wins have been without like very important pieces to a roster, like, but no one wants to talk about the fact that like one of our main facilitators and main like defensive members of our team was out, and that Mitch was out for that fourth where they dominated on the rebounds. No one wants to like mention that. And I think that's lopsided, where people can talk about how our wins are unbalanced, but when we're missing pieces, it doesn't really matter. And I think it does, because the lack of Grimes did make an impact. So we need to realize that. And then the second point is we have a leader. Jalen Brunson did not play well offensively and did not play well when it came to his turnovers and all of that. But we talk about this all the time. Show me the post-game show, and I'll tell you something about the game. Jalen Brunson took full responsibility for that loss. Even though as a fan watching the game, I'm not going to fully put that on him. When they talked to him about that game, they said, what went wrong? He said, my turnovers cost us the game. My lack of offense cost us the game. And I take that on me. And they're like, what about? And he's like, no, it's on me. Like, I normally drain those shots. I didn't make any of them. I gave way too many turnovers and gave them points. It's on me. And
you love to see the ownership, you know,
taking responsibility.
Yeah.
In an NBA where so many players are just like, well, our team crumbled, or we didn't do this, or so-and-so didn't do that.
Right.
He
the
did
refs.
not point out anything about Randall's missed shot. He didn't talk about Randall ball through his legs. He didn't talk about anything except for what he did. And that means that we have a leader going forward in this season and moving forward, and we can build a team on that kind of leadership. So I think we go in and we battle on Christmas Day. But I think that loss taught us a lot, and I don't take it as a bad loss at all, because even though they have a losing record right now, their team is not a losing team. Like, you're gonna see them have a huge change. Like,
they'll regroup.
Yeah.
So, no, and I agree with you, 19 con, man. Brunson's defense for 5-3 minutes was disappointing. You know, it's funny you brought up the Grimes thing. I'll ask both of you, and I'll start with you, Hector. Phil mentioned, right? Every win is, you guys won without these pieces. You think anybody sits there and says, you guys beat the Knicks because Grimes was out?
No way. And like 19 comment, shout out my man comment. He said it, that Grimes would have been out there in those last 3 minutes helping Brunson defensively, and Brunson's defense in those last 3 minutes, it did look horrible. You know, people were just running by Brunson and not having that guy on the opposite end, knowing that Brunson can trust to pick him up when he misses the assignment or he fails to get over a pick, knowing that Grimes is there helps out Brunson. But you really saw the effect of not having Quentin Grimes on this teams and what that can cost you, and it could cost you a win. Sonny pointed out 17 turnovers doesn't help you out either, but at the same time, when your defense is not top notch like it's been in these 8-game win, look at it, think of it. In this 8-game win streak, we didn't give up 100 points not once in this 8-game win streak. Our first loss in this 8-game win streak was when we finally gave up 100 points.
Yeah, I mean, again, we can sit there and talk about, see how come with his 50, what ended up being 52, right? I mean, but at the same time, we beat ourselves. So many mistakes. I mean, again, we can keep harping on the turnovers, right? We can turn on the bad pass decision making. You know, it's just the whole thing was sloppy, and we still were in a battle, right? It was a roller coaster. Like Phil was getting frustrated with me because my texts were LOL. Right, like, and he's like, "How could you be laughing?" I'm like, "Because it's kind of funny right now. Like, I couldn't even explain what was going on, and yet somehow we were at the end of the game, like, oh my god, we can do this, and then we start throwing balls. It was weird. It really was.
Yep.
And if I could just say before you just jump in, Phil, I just wanted to say one thing. It's not having Cam just smell the floor for just 5 minutes, like you said, Phil, just to give a breath of fresh air. We needed big bodies on Pascal Siakam. They tried throwing Jericho Sims. It didn't work. They threw Mitchell Robinson at him. It didn't work. They threw Julius Randle at him. It didn't work. The only person that they didn't throw at him is the only person we have on this team whose wingspan is the only wingspan that could defend Pascal Siakam. So for me, it really shows that the front office and Tom Thibodeau, they're done with Cam Reddish. He's going to be gone.
I would appreciate if we all started acting like Cam Reddish was already gone.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah,
because the conversation at this point, I mean, we don't need any more proof. They're showing us. We're not putting him in at all, period. Like, for me, I need to just wake up and tell myself, all right, Cam's not on the team anymore. Let's stop talking about it.
Yeah, that's
right. Same thing with I hope Rose is not on the team soon, right? Because he's just it's not a piece we need anymore.
Yeah.
I was in a space
100%.
yesterday, and person after person after person talking about we should have played Cam. We should have played Cam. We should have played Cam. And I got on and I said, guys, you need to start as fans, stop bringing up Cam. Like, think of him as someone that's already gone. Think of him as someone that's already gone, like moved, packed his bags in a different city, because our front office has already thought that. Like, he is like that ex-girlfriend that you guys keep on looking at the picture, taking it out of the box to look at it, picking up the phone like you want to dial the number. Don't. It's not going to happen. Like, if Tibbs and the front office are willing to throw away a possible 9-game winning streak to not play Cam, that should speak volumes to the fact that Cam is gone. Like, that's it. Like, we need to accept that. And the only last takeaway I have is the RJ Barrett we have been waiting for showed up last night. Like, I mean, showed up Wednesday night. Like 66% from free throw, 66% from 3-point line. Like,
ready? Hold on. You ready, Phil? You ready, Phil? We need to trade RJ Barrett. RJ Barrett is trash. Oh my gosh, we made a mistake with RJ Barrett. Oh, he is the worst. Oh, no.
This is the first time in 30 seasons that we have 3 players scoring 19 points per game or more. Go ahead, Phil.
Yep. Yeah. And it's crazy because it's not just his field goal percentage being at 58, but he had rebounds. He had 5 assists. Like, he had steals. Like, it was crazy. Like, no one can watch that game and still get on. It was funny because people were joking because in the last, 6 games, there's a bunch of, haters that are totally directed at RJ, and they haven't been in anybody's space at all in the last 6 games.
Wait, there was a space that said, I think it was in Brutus's space yesterday, where he was like, all these people, where all the RJ haters. He said, I can't find them anymore.
They ghosted.
They quiet.
So I think that was a great takeaway. But so guys, what do you guys want to do? Do we want to talk?
Well, wait. I want to talk about that RJ thing a second, because I feel like it needs to be said, especially for us at least. I don't understand why people have a problem with fans and content creators changing their mind about players, about situations. I don't understand that. I don't understand. Are you not allowed to change your opinion? Right? It's okay if you were the one on the train of saying, hey, RJ Barrett's doo-doo. It's okay that you did that. But for those of us that were on the other side, all we ask is just show up and say, I may have been wrong.
Yeah.
And now tell us what why can't you change your mind? I mean, I love my brother, and then sometimes I love Hector more. It's okay.
Just a little bit. What I was gonna say, it's hard to admit when you're wrong. There's people out there that you can have conversations with them, and they will be blue in the face trying to prove that their point is right, even though that they know that they're wrong. Right? That's just what it is. Like for me, for instance, if you catch me in a spot, right, where I said something earlier and you point out that I'm changing my pivot, I may be one of those that just be like, I don't know what you talk about, mister. I don't know what you talk about, mister. I just minding my business. I don't know what you're talking about.
See, I think like Jigga said, you got to be willing to like change it because, like even me, I have to be willing to pivot. Like we have to be willing to pivot. Like the other day, I straight up thought that Hector was nothing but a hater.
And
but
I own that.
Yeah, he owned that. And today I have to retract and be like, all right, I love my mans again, so you got to be willing to pivot, like you got to be willing to pivot. But a lot of
I was waiting for that insert to be like, well, he's not a hater today, but he's still a loser. And then the loser pop up on the screen. I was waiting for that.
No, man, full 180 this episode, full 180.
No, but when it comes to moving forward, and we got a game tonight against Chicago, so hopefully we bounce back and we take this dub, giving us momentum going into that Christmas game against the 76ers, which we better win. But Knick fans, when it comes to this 8-game win streak, right? Over the past 30, 40 years, the Knicks have only done the 8-game winning streak 4 times. Know that. And just know that. Take that fact and enjoy it. Put it in your pocket and enjoy it. On top of that, the fact that we got 3 players in that starting rotation that's averaging 19 points per game or more, it's amazing. And if RJ steps it up even more, is take that 19, throw it out the window, and it's going to be 20 points per game or even more. So what we have right now is great. Let's enjoy what we have. This is building blocks for the future. As long as we're able to show that this franchise can be competent, can show some level of consistency, that's all I would be happy about. I said it earlier when Sonny was on. I'm happy that within these 3 seasons that we had Leon and Tibbs and Julius Randle, that we haven't fired anybody. This is the first time that you got a coaching staff, that you got a front office, that you haven't fired. That you haven't fired after having a bad season. Go ahead, Phil, before we dip out, because Jiggaman just left because he handles the important meetings. We're just the faces here that talk the mess. He handles the important stuff. But go ahead, Phil, close us out, bro.
Yeah, I'm just gonna say, going into this Christmas game, we got to play hard. We are just right behind the 76ers. And matter of fact, depending on their game tonight, we could actually be ahead of the 76ers because they go up today against the Clippers. So if the Clippers can beat them, then
because Philly lost their last game. We're still tied with Philly, right?
Yeah,
if I'm not mistaken.
So I guess
it's like they're like 0.4 or something like that, like you said on the last show.
Exactly. Copy. Yep, 0.4. And so if they lose today, then it's pretty much us neck and neck with them. So that game is important. Like we could end up in the 5th seed by the end of the week. Like that's crazy, So we got to play hard. And if we win that game, no one can talk about how a team without stars can't beat a team with stars, because they got those 2 there, so let's see what happens. I'm hoping for a win. I'm hoping to see the same kind of RJ. I'm hoping to see, apparently there's still talks that Grimes might not be back in the rotation. So I'm hoping we find something to fill that spot, to shut down Harden. But I'm looking forward to the game, man. And I'm looking forward to celebrating with the family over some, spiked eggnog and a Knicks win.
Nice. For me, I have to go pick up my coquito from the Bronx, not like 10 minutes away from me. But I just want the Knicks to go out there, be competitive today, and on Christmas, be competitive on Christmas as well. And like we said earlier in the show, happy holidays, whether you celebrate Hanukkah, whether you celebrate Kwanzaa, like I said, whether you celebrate this pagan holiday that was taken over by the Catholic Church called Christmas, whatever holiday that you celebrate, just know here from the Morning Brew family, we wish you all the best and a happy new year. I know we'll see you before the New Year's come, but to those people who are watching that won't catch us before New Year's, just know we wish you a happy New Year's at all. Shout out to the chat. 19 Con Man, happy holidays. My man Pudgy Nice, happy holidays as well. Chris the Flash, happy holidays as well. NY Originals, I see you in the building, happy holidays. And of course, the uncle himself, Uncle Stephen Foxy, line of the year. That's so sad. Appreciate you, Uncle Foxy. Phil, take us out, baby.
Yes, so thank you all for tuning in. Sorry we didn't get to an open panel today. The conversation was just too good with Sonny that we had to keep it going. But we appreciate you guys. You guys have been a blessing and a gift to the Knicks Morning Brew so far. We hope that we have done the same for you guys. And so God bless. Celebrate what you celebrate. And until next time, let's get that dub tonight. Let's get that dub on Christmas. And we will see you guys soon. Blessings.
Peace out. What it do, Knick Nation? What it do? KOD Universe, stand up. And all you DJs, wake up and get your coffee.
I'ma slam on these goats like I'm John Starks. I'ma